Okay, folks, so I want to share some more of this information concerning directed energy weapons and such, and high energy lasers and all of that. I I find it very curious that in a lot of these reports and things that are given to Congress from the Department of Defense, at the very least, they are misleading. At the very least, if not deceptive. And I think that it's something that really needs some more oversight because some of these companies that are developing these systems like Raytheon and all that, they're testing things in the public theater. They're testing things in the near space, up space-based systems. And they boast and they brag about it. This is one of their interesting little advertisements here. Scaled to the threat. High energy laser. Yeah, Raytheon has invested hundreds of millions of dollars in production capacity. High energy laser systems are in low rate production in Texas today. So when you when you look at these kind of reports like this that are given to Congress, like these Congressional Research Service reports, and some of the information, even as recent, as last year, given to Congress from the Department of Defense concerning directed energy weapons, backgrounds, and issues, they give the impression that it's like some kind of an emerging technology, like it's something that we need to invest lots more money into in order to use it properly. And as far as I'm concerned, there's no proper use for stuff like this. This is just it's going beyond when they start taking it up into space-based systems up in the upper atmosphere, because then you're talking about playing around with the thermal, uh, magnetic, and all kinds of energy that you don't have any business playing around with. Okay. And all we can do here as civilians is just sit down here at ground level and deal with the consequences and the adverse effects, right? Because I guarantee you they're testing stuff over the public theater. There's been too many times when I've captured stuff like this, where we have these light storms and these things that come through where it appears like we are being beamed, we are being pulsed from the upper atmosphere. And this is not natural. And I say curses to any of these weather watcher channels and these so-called weathermen that are sharing information and disseminating information coming from NOAA and coming from NWS and from these defense contractors, lackeys and poop heads. That's what I'm going to call them. All of these climateers and all of these meteorologists and all these people involved with disseminating the information that these are 1,000-year storm cycles. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yep. That's perfectly natural. This is supposed to happen. This is perfectly natural. Yeah. Nice cover story, bro. And that's all that it is. They're providing cover stories so the Department of Defense can go around testing these things in the upper atmosphere. They can't hide some of this stuff anymore. This was another instance here that it would just over a period of time where there was this object, something in the upper atmosphere, in the near space atmosphere, that was traveling with the sun every morning for months. Okay? I dubbed it the AI Morning Star because, as far as I'm concerned, I was seeing signatures of what would be used with some of the technologies when they talk about owning the weather. Okay. And I've covered this file, I know, many times because I'm repetitive. I'm going to cover it once again yet. Weather is a force multiplier, owning the weather in 2025. All of this talk about 1,000-year storm cycles and all of this stuff being perfectly natural that's popping off around us. You need to realize that is false information. That is a cover story. That is providing a cover story. And when you get into some of the chapters in this thing here, hang on, I need to get back down to that chapter. Bear with me here, where they talk about exploitation of near space for space control. Okay. By 2025, it may be possible to modify the ionosphere and near space, creating a variety of potential applications as discussed below. However, before ionospheric modification becomes possible, a number of evolutionary advances in space weather forecasting and observations are needed. In other words, you need more actors out there disseminating the information that, that freak lightning storm that you saw and experienced was part of a 1,000-year cycle. Here's this climateer over here, you know, with the information. It's just a made up bullshit story. And I'm overwhelmed and I'm frustrated at times because it has become so easy for these defense contractors and these people to present this information to Congress and make it seem like it's some kind of emerging technology. So give us more money because the enemy is developing this stuff. And in this particular file right here, they even mention how um, China, okay, according to the U.S./China Economic and Security Review Commission, China has been developing directed energy weapons since at least the 1980s and has made steady progress in developing high-powered microwave and increasingly powerful high-energy lasers. China has reportedly developed a 30-kilowatt road mobile high-energy laser, right, designed to engage unmanned aircraft systems and precision guided weapons. Reports indicate that China is also developing an airborne high energy laser pod. Okay, so they pitch this stuff to Congress. Same thing with Russia. They tell I mean, it's just ridiculous to me. Like I said, because I'm repetitive, I have to say it again. At the very least, it is misleading. But to me, I see it as deceptive because then I come across this, this information coming from these defense contractors that are developing these systems. And they boast and they brag and they're proud about the advancements that they've made in, oh, yeah, Raytheon Intelligence in space pairs laser weapon with NASAM's air defense system to destroy swarm of drone targets, a demonstration done in White Sands back in March of last year. Don't tell me it's an emerging technology because you've even sold it as defensive systems to our allies. But yet you put out this Congressional Research Service report back in May of this year, giving them the impression that, oh, well, all these other countries, Russia has been conducting directed energy weapons research since the 1960s, with a particular emphasis on high energy lasers. Russia has reportedly deployed the Peresvet ground-based high-energy laser with several mobile intercontinental ballistic missile units. Although little is publicly known about Peresvet, including its power level, some analysts assert it is to dazzle satellites and provide point defense against unmanned aircraft systems. So they pitch this whole deal about, oh yeah, all these other countries are developing this kind of stuff, but we're just starting. We're just beginning. It's an emerging technology. Bullshit. We've been researching and developing this stuff for a very long time, and this was from August, okay? Department of Defense Directed Energy Weapons Background and Issues for Congress. Directed energy weapons use concentrated electromagnetic energy rather than kinetic energy to combat enemy forces. Although the United States has been researching directed energy since the 1960s. Oh, we have too, huh? Since the 1960s, you don't say. But it's an emerging technology. Some experts have observed that the Department of Defense has invested billions of dollars in directed energy programs that failed to reach maturity and were ultimately canceled. Bullshit. Bullshit. In recent years, however, DoD has made progress on directed energy weapons development, deploying the first operational U.S. directed energy weapon in 2014 aboard the USS Ponce. Since then, directed energy weapons development has continued, with DoD issuing a directed energy roadmap to coordinate the department's efforts. DoD has also introduced a high energy laser scaling initiative, which seeks to strengthen the defense industrial base for directed energy weapons and improve laser beam quality and efficiency. And they've been talking about taking it up to the upper atmosphere. And they have been, okay? When I'm capturing stuff like this going on, and this here that popped off back in 2018 coming from the south, off in the direction, let me see, what's down in that direction? Would it be White Sands? Yeah, I believe White Sands is off in that direction, where this very large line of energy came in, bringing with it vertical beams and horizontal beams and Tesla coils. Okay? So don't tell me they're not testing this technology and this stuff in the public theater. And it's terrifying to think that the general public is completely snowed into believing that this is perfectly natural. Oh yeah, it's part of a 1,000 year, you know, storm cycle. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was documented 1,000 years ago. Yeah, they were seeing these Tesla coils popping off in the skies everywhere 1,000 years ago. Yeah, perfect natural. Yeah, fuck you. Pardon my language, folks, but it's frustrating as hell. The ignorance of people, ignorance to independent research is no excuse. Don't even get me started on this whole thing with the Israeli defense system and the Iron Dome. Okay? Seriously. Don't get me rolling even further on Raytheon's involvement and Lockheed Martin's involvement. And they're testing these things in the near space above our heads without our consent. I guarantee you it's without our consent. I don't see a whole lot of people having conversations when these freak storms pop up about how it's not natural. No, pretty much all of them on these social platforms talk about how, yeah, that's perfectly natural. Hole punch clouds, square punch clouds. It's all perfectly natural. It was observed by some people like 1,400 years ago. You know, fuck you. This is not natural. I'm tired of it. I'm sick of the Defense Department issuing these congressional research reports or getting these research reports from the Department of Defense to the Congress that are just at the very least misleading. I guess I should apologize because I'm just overworked. So I guess I am sorry for ranting and going on and on. It's hard to move forward because you don't know where to begin. Because they're giving the impression to Congress and the people that are so-called leaders and in charge of all of this stuff, the impression that it's an emerging technology still. It's not. It's a technology we have sold to our allies for defense and protections. Seriously? Yeah. High-powered microwave weapons too, folks. It's not new. They've been playing around with it out in the remote areas for decades, and they've recently moved it into the public theater. They need to move it back out to the remote areas and back to their laboratories because enough is enough. This kind of technology and playing around with directing these types of energies that involve the thermosphere and the electromagnetosphere. Yeah. Let's examine some of these so-called wild fires around the world. Can we? Can we really examine what causes these wildfires? Can we? Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry for the rant.